Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye coverage of the 2014 elections continues with an interview with State Representative Keith Ripp. He's a Republican from Lodi seeking re-election in the 42nd Assembly District. Keith, welcome back to Wisconsin Eye.
Well, thanks, Steve, for having me.
Programming note, Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Going for the fourth term.
Yes.
Boy, you've seen some major policy changes, haven't you, in the last
Yeah, I have.
6 years.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What do you think should be the general goals of the next session, Keith? Let's start out that way.
Well, being a business owner and a farmer, budgeting issues, I think I always like to see a long-term budget and a short-term budget. Now I know in politics it's tough to do that because, administrations change and things, but ultimately I think that's where we need to be, because these, 2-year budgets at times really affect things. Transportation is one of those areas. That
you want to start with transportation? Let's start.
Can.
Well, okay. As you know, the Wisconsin Taxpayer Alliance says if you fund transportation at the 2013 levels over the next 10 years, you're $2 billion short.
Right.
Do you think we would be $2 billion short? If so, how do we fix that, sir?
Well, as we know, the transportation budget has been rated $1.3 billion, and so we need to, this fall, on the ballot for the voters.
We're all going to get a chance to vote on that.
Yes.
To lock it up.
Yep, get to vote and protect that fund, and I think a lot of people are in favor of that. And I think once we get that in place, then we can have a serious discussion here in Madison about how do we move forward and how do we fix that deficit.
You've heard all the different ideas where you and I report to DOT how many miles we've traveled, raising the gas tax, raising the $75. Would you consider any of those, sir?
I think we have to look at everything and have it on the table, and everybody's indicated that that's the case, that everything will be on the table. Tolling, I like the idea of tolling, but then what's the cost of implementing that? It's a huge cost. So short term, that's not a quick fix or something that we can see put into place. But something needs to be addressed. Because these roads, I've been out on the roads touring and looking at roads.
Your farm and your business needs those roads, doesn't it, Representative?
Yes, and I'm also in the transportation business. And there's certain roads that we just don't travel anymore because they're in that bad a shape. And so we look for alternative routes.
So that's going to be one of the major issues.
Yes, I think so.
As will funding our schools, our public schools.
Yes.
Now, you come from a largely rural district, right?
Yep.
How pinched are some of your rural school districts?
They're struggling, and that's why last session we saw the rural task force, school task force put together. I think that was a great idea. There again, we'll have to look and bounce around some of those ideas and where that goes from here. Some of those schools are the ones that are struggling the most.
Is it time for a new school aid formula?
You
know the old saying, you don't get a school aid formula unless there's some money to spend.
Right.
So there's no losers.
I've been involved with some of those discussions, and I don't know if there's a better system out there than what we have now. And although there's winners and losers, there could be, no matter what we do, there still could be winners and losers.
Is there any recommendations made by the Task Force on Rural Schools that you're really interested in pursuing, Representative?
Transportation aids was one thing that caught my eye. I think that's an easy fix, possibly. So that's what I can recall from the study right now.
The vouchers and school choice debate. Right now there's an outstate limit of 1,000 cap. What do you think should happen on vouchers and choice in the next biennial budget, Representative?
Well, as we know, I've got 3 kids, and all 3 learn differently. So kids learn differently out there, and parents want that option. They want that choice. I'm glad we have a cap on it so we can kind of follow the process and see what's working, what's not working. So that's something that I supported, was having that cap there, just to kind of get our feet wet and see how things are working. But there again, parents want choices, and some don't have the ability to pick up and move, and sometimes they have a couple kids in one school district, their hometown, and for some reason they want to send another child to another school district because they may handle things differently or have better opportunities.
Members of your caucus, led by the Speaker, will want to pop that cap entirely. Are you willing to support that?
Boy, for me, he's going to have a very good reason. I think that cap there is a good indicator of, just there again, getting our feet wet and seeing how the system's working.
4 or 5 weeks ago, Governor Walker called for the repeal of the Common Core standards. Your position on that?
We've got to have a good look at that. I mean, what the governor wants and what we may want, could be two different things. That's why we have 3 branches. Last time we had a bill come forward, died near the end of session. So, I mean, things like that are tough to get by when they pop up at the end of session. But certainly take a look at that. I've worked on education legislation in the past, and we've raised the standards with the Common Core, but is that all we did? And I think Wisconsin, we can come up with a better system than even what the federal government has.
Okay. Let's talk about health care. As you know, 1 in 5 Wisconsin residents get their health care from the MA, our Medicaid system. The American Hospital Association says Wisconsin has the 2nd lowest reimbursement rates. Do you think those rates should be increased in the next budget?
Healthcare is a sensitive issue. I mean, I think in the past, Wisconsin's had a great healthcare system and provided a lot of coverage for people. I think bringing in the federal system has somewhat messed it up a little bit. I think it increased rates. With the federal government, there's no guarantees what they're going to keep funding and what are the strings attached to it. I think across the board, we're going to see federal government making cuts in several areas, and now the state has to be proactive instead of reactive to those types of issues. And this is one issue that's pretty sensitive, and I think we just have to keep our thumb on it. We've probably got 4 months to go before session starts again, and I think we may see some more numbers and come out and see what happens.
Was it wise for Wisconsin to tell the federal government no thanks, with the feds offering that they will pay to expand our MA benefits? Was that wise?
I think so, because the funding, as we see it, from what I can recall, it goes up, but then I think 2016 the funding goes away.
Begins to slip away.
Yeah, it goes down.
From 100% to 90 or something like that.
Right, and so what happens after that? I mean, it's one of those short-term plans, long-term plans, we need to have in place.
There's going to be a bill to legalize medical marijuana, and traveling with that is the issue of legalizing recreational marijuana. Your positions on those?
I had the opportunity early this summer, to participate in a drug forum program, and there was a person there that was addicted to drugs and stuff, and basically they said, I started out with marijuana, and so the debate is, I think the real debate is it a gateway drug or not? And I think it is. And with the other states that move forward, I think we can kind of watch and see what happens there. Plus, there's really no research out there. I mean, smoking's bad for us, so isn't smoking marijuana probably bad for us too? So,
what about the medical side? Could you vote to legalize medical?
I think there's ways that, we hear sometimes from veterans and stuff, and there I think it should come through the veterans organizations if they want to approve that. But there again, it's a gateway drug, and, I've watched people, had family, friends go through cancer and struggles and pain and things, and not pleasant, but I guess if there's other things out there that are proven and we have some research on, I could look at it, but right now I have a hard time supporting it.
One of the first bills that passed last session, I assume you voted for it, changed the rules so that Giebig taconite could apply for that permit for the open pit mine. Does that bill need to be tweaked or amended in any way, or are you still satisfied with it?
Right now I'm still satisfied with it. I'm sure we'll hear more as we get closer to session or into session with it. Being a farmer, if there's certain practices I want to do on the farm, we've got to go through several state and federal organizations, government organizations, EPA, Army Corps of Engineers. And so I think with the same thing applies to this. I believe that, as they move forth in the permitting process, that, there will be safety procedures done or put in place, and if they can't, pass this test or, can't get a permit, then it may or may not go forward. There again, it's a long-term plan. I think they have a long ways to go yet on that process, and so it's going to be a step-by-step process.
There was a news story that broke over the weekend that Gogebic gave $700,000 to the Greater Wisconsin Committee to help Governor Walker and other Republicans survive their recall. Was that news to you?
Yes.
Any of you voted for the bill? You didn't know about that, did you?
Didn't know about the funding. I think it just came out, so I don't know of anybody that was aware of the funding. So.
Okay. First offense, drunken driving. Should it be a crime?
We've there again. I've had family and friends injured or killed in accidents. Talking to the court systems, judges, we just don't have the capacity to do that. I think the first time a lot of people, it's a wake-up call to them, and they realize that, if you are going to be drinking, have a designated driver. I certainly encourage that with a lot of family and friends that, I even tell them to give me a call if they know they're going to be out drinking, drinking and having fun, and they need a driver or something, because it's easier to do that than to make a trip to the hospital or even to visit the coroner's office.
With those 3 tax cuts that were passed over the last 18 months, do you think you may have tax cut your way into a deficit in the next biennium? If there is a deficit, how should it be fixed? It's
possible. I think there again, some parts of the economy are doing well, other parts aren't doing well yet. There's several different reasons why. I think moving forward, certainly we'll watch those things, make adjustments. I mean, we certainly talk about having a balanced budget, and I think with some of our members in the caucus, the CPA caucus, they're helpful in us getting there and stuff. Sometimes I think the problem is that each house has maybe a different formula or way of doing the books, which isn't helpful either. But so I try to look at the real numbers as a business owner too. What's really happening out there, and where do we need to adjust?
As a farmer, what farming-related bill do you think needs to be passed in the next session, Keith?
Well, this last session we did implements of husbandry, dealing with the large equipment on the road. We're not done with that yet. There's more work that needs to be done with that. So that's something that we'll concentrate on. That's kind of where we're focusing right now, the IOH and then also the transportation budget deficit, and how are we going to try to address it.
Okay. Finally, do you want to highlight any differences with you and your opponent on November 4th, sir?
I don't know a lot about them, but from what I kind of hear and see, they are, I think he would like to go back and spend a lot of dollars on programs that the federal government tried, renewable energy, for an example, that have not been successful, and so why would you want to try it at the state level? With any of these projects, and I'm involved with some of these things, follow them very closely. We want to see projects that are sustainable and that doesn't increase cost of energy and those types of things, because ultimately it's the low-income person, businesses that all have to pay these increases, and it affects everybody across the board.
Very good. Thank you. State Representative Keith Ripp is a Republican from Lodi. He's seeking re-election in the 42nd Assembly District. Keith, thanks for stopping at Wisconsin Eye.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.